Business as an economic activity. From the broader perspective, business may be defined as an economic activity comprising the entire spectrum of activities pertaining to production, distribution and trading, exchange, of goods and services. We have seen that market-oriented production, better than production for self-consumption, represents supply side of economics. It is common to refer to shift from subsistence-driven production toward market-driven production as commercialization of production or production on a commercial scale. Distinguishing characteristics of business in respect of other economic occupations. Employment. Employment is a contract of service between the employee and the employer. The contract elaborates job description and the periodic compensation known as wages and salaries. One has to undergo a detailed process of recruitment and selection for one's engagement in employment. Profession. Profession is rendering of services of a specialized nature, necessitating prescribed qualifications, for a fee under a certificate of practice from an established certification, accreditation, examination and assessment body that also imposes a code of conduct. Job creator, not job seeker. Business as an institution is a source of sustenance directly to the business owners and employees and indirectly to all those who derive opportunities from it. This is a unique characteristic of business that separates it from other occupations. Provides momentum to economic growth. Business through research and development, education, and training and development of employees and by sheer guts and courage of experimenting and innovation brings about development. In fact, it is pertinent now to introduce the term entrepreneur here. Distinguishing characteristics of business in respect of other economic occupations. Investment intensive. Starting a business requires a sizable investment of funds. However, size of investment usually varies with the scale of business. That is why in India micro, small, medium and large enterprises are defined with respect to the size of investment. Gestation and uncertainties. Investment takes time to fructify, and it is uncertain whether it will yield the returns as expected. In economics and finance, one distinguishes between risk and uncertainty. Risk can be calculated in advance, uncertainty cannot. Systematic, organized, efficiency-oriented activity. Business is not a random, stray, unorganized and occasional activity. It is a consciously created system of production. Thus, firm infrastructure needs to be in place, supply chain of materials needs to be developed, these materials need to be processed or transformed, etc. Objective-oriented or purposeful. In economics, objective of the firm is set as maximization of profits. Profits characterize income from business just as wages and salaries characterize labor, rent characterizes land, and interest characterizes capital. Considerations. Interdependence. Business draws its factors of production from the society and is dependent on it for the sale of its goods and services. Multiple stakeholders. A firm is not only the owners. It is as much other investors, lenders, employees, customers, suppliers, competitors, the community and the larger society and the ecology of which business is a part. Amount of profit. Profit is just about that much and that less an objective of business. Likewise, profit is a minimum concept, in fact a cost of being in and cost of staying in business. Primacy of customer. If at all there is a single purpose of business, it is the creation and maintenance of customers through product quality, service, and delivering value for money. Performance is the precursor to profits. To be able to earn profit, the firm has to excel in all its functionalities, that is procurement, production, sales and marketing, accounting and finance. Thus, even if profit is the objective, it has to be broken down to the relevant objectives for each of these areas. Objectives of business. Economic objectives. Sales, profits, return on investment, efficiency, resource conservation, achieving more from less, economic value added, profits in excess of cost of capital invested in business, market share. Organic objectives. Survival, health, age of assets, fitness of human resources, reserves capital, general and contingency, growth, diversification of capabilities. Social responsibilities. Community service, education, health, sanitation, heritage conservation, community support during calamities and disasters, etc. Specific responsibilities toward employees, investors, customers, suppliers, competitors, etc. Legal, ethical and environmental objectives. Respect for law in letter and spirit, fair practices, transparency, truthfulness, honesty and integrity. Green technologies, products usage and disposal, lower emissions, effective waste handling and disposal, preservation of air, water and soil quality. Forms of business organization. Business ownership is a bundle of rights. Ownership is a bundle of rights. These rights accrue because a person has invested money in it. First such right is the titular exclusiveness. Likewise, business ownership occurs by investment of capital. Protstet belong to the owners. However, if there are losses, these have also to be incurred by the owners. Business may be owned singly or jointly. A business may be owned singly, that is, as a sole proprietorship concern. Else it be organized as a partnership or even a larger collective such as a cooperative. When owned singly, if all the profits belong to the single owner, so do the losses. Business may be organized as a proprietary or a corporate concern. In proprietary concerns, business owners actively participate in the day-to-day working of the enterprise. Corporate form does away with this limitation as a company exits as a separate person distinct from its owners in the contemplation of law. As a separate legal person, it can thus have a life of its own independent of the lives of its owners. Sole proprietorship. Easiest and the earliest form of business. When an individual makes a choice to start a business of one's own, to be one's own boss, sole proprietorship emerges. As such, it can be regarded as the easiest and the earliest form of business as a human occupation. One may open a daily needs store in a room of a corner of one's house. Economic hero. The sole entrepreneur is regarded as an economic hero, an autonomous individual who organizes production, uses creativity and ingenuity in innovation, bears risks and uncertainty. Small scale. The business undertaken could be on such a small scale that it may be hardly distinguished from self-employment. It may not be even registered as a micro or a small-scale business enterprise or industry. Unorganized or informal sector. Usually these enterprises, more so local retailers and street vendors, are so well integrated with the communities that these enjoy people's trust and provide personalized services. Together, these comprise the unorganized or informal sector of the economy. Features of sole proprietorship. Autonomy of being one's own boss. Because of freedom from the restrictions of paid employment. Ample scope for experimentation and expression of one's creativity and innovativeness. Sole provider of capital. This limits the size of business. Yes, banks and lenders may provide additional resources. However, borrowing capacity too is determined by capital adequacy. This feature also limits the capacity to grow. Unlimited liability. It is a common limitation of proprietary forms of business organizations. In the event of insolvency, that is, liabilities is greater than assets, the owner's personal assets are invoked to make up the deficit. Fate as a going concern. Sole proprietary entity's going concern status depends on the owner's personal health and lifespan, and, after his death, upon the willingness and the ability of the heirs successors in the family. Succession of ownership. By will or application of the law of inheritance. A will or testament is a legal document by which a person to manage the estate until its final distribution. If the will is non-existent, the applicable law of inheritance will come into force.